Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for making it to 5 o'clock. The after party is closing in, so hopefully you can hold on for another 20 minutes whilst we talk about external attack surface management this afternoon, or in better words, how clean is your house on the outside? Quick bit of housekeeping first. On many of the programs and schedule, you may see that this talk is being delivered by Todd Gifford, RMD. He's not with us today. He's not dead. He's just on holiday. I didn't realize how bad that looked. Sorry, Todd. So you're stuck with me. I'm Ben Smith. I'm head of consultancy at Optimizing IT and Assured Service Provider. We are a Southwest-based MSP, and we deal with a large number of businesses of many sizes, shapes, verticals. I think that gives us a real good finger on the pulse as to what's happening in the cybersecurity space for SMB in the UK today. And importantly, what people are doing really well from an IT perspective, but also, as we'll talk about today, what people aren't considering and aren't doing so well. So, without further ado, how clean is your house on the outside? And bye, Todd. So, anyone recognize this image? Yeah? IT crowd. The presentation is called How Clean is Your House on the Outside? I've changed the image today. That's normally a messy living room or something of that nature. Today it's an office. I thought that might resonate with the crowd a little bit more. But metaphorically, what we're talking about here is an organization with poor internal cybersecurity posture. And actually what we see much more in the marketplace today is people moving further and further away that looks metaphorically like this to something that looks more like this. And how do organizations typically get from the first slide to this? It's your standard cybersecurity, technology, tooling, processes. So things I'm talking about there are antivirus, EDR, MDR, firewall rules, patching policies, maybe even a clean desk policy. But what we consistently see from IT teams, whilst they consider what they look like from the inside and are doing really well at getting themselves to look like that, what they don't consider often is what they look like on the outside from an attacker's perspective or even client's perspective. So, back to houses from offices. If you were a thief, a burglar, an intruder, and you had to pick a target out of hundreds of houses, what would draw you to one versus another? So obviously there we're talking about, actually, is there a house with an open door, an open window? Actually, it might not even be open, it might be closed, but is it a crappy old door with crappy locks versus a brand new UPVC with grade A locks? No gate, no CCTV, house without a dog. Actually, importantly, is there something worth stealing inside? And this is a similar approach attackers will take when they're looking at organizations. They might not know what is inside. They might not know there's a mixed martial artist inside waiting at the door, or the old man with the shotgun. But they're looking for targets to invest their time and effort into. Something with a likely outcome, i.e. cash at the end of the day, or data. And that's exactly why managing your external attack surfaces as an organization is important and treated the same way you would treat your house. So, what exactly is external attack surface management? Now, there is an official definition, which I'll read out. Gartner defines this as the processes, technology, and managed services deployed to discover internet-facing enterprise assets, systems, and associated exposures, including misconfigured public cloud services and servers, exposed enterprise data, and code vulnerabilities that could be exploited by adversaries. Look, we've got 20 minutes today, so we can't talk about all of those things, but I think it's important actually what that is saying is there are many things that make up your external attack surface. And importantly, as we talk through a couple of the most important ones that I see in the market today, again, we're discussing these through a lens of an outside attacker looking in. There's no visibility of what an organization's internal infrastructure looks like at this stage. So, first on the list of attack factors is what is still the number one attack vector today: email. And as the number one attack vector today, email security is something that needs to be treated with the utmost importance. And if you don't, what are the things an attacker might be able to understand about your organization's email security posture? So what email platform are you using? That's really useful to an attacker. Are you using Microsoft 365, Google, on-prem Exchange, or some random bespoke system that's from the dark ages? Maybe, based on your MX record, they might know you've got a secure email gateway in front of your email system. Might look less attractive. Up for debate, that one, I think. Have you got SPF, DKIM, DMARC configured, and configured properly? If an attacker sees that your security posture is weak from an email standing, actually, you look like a really nice, juicy target. And again, the outcome here is cash. So they're looking for those easy targets. Now, as part of my role in consultancy at Optimizing IT, what I do is engage with new organizations on a regular basis. And as part of that process, we do run external attack surface scans for most of those organizations. I've taken the last month's external attack surface scans and put them into a nice little chart. So of the 25 SMBs that we engaged with just last month, only 9 had all SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, the triad of email security in this day and age, configured correctly. I thought that was pretty scary. So, next one. Whilst email may be the largest attack vector, actually one of the things that we see which probably is the most impactful attack vector: exposed services. I've given the clue away there. So, the number one issue that we see still frighteningly today is RDP, open to the internet. And this is true for all of the exposed services that we're talking about here. It kind of says it on the tin, but when we're talking about exposed services to the entire internet, obviously visible to potential attackers. How RDP is still being exposed in 2024, I have no idea, but if you are doing it, please stop. Some other services: FTP, SSH, Telnet, SMB, HTTPS. Now this is something that we see all the time as well. Actually, it might just not be internal HTTPS websites exposed. Actually, so many organizations that we engage with have their firewall admin console exposed to the internet. Why? Well, the obvious answer is easy remote admin. That's not a good answer. There's obviously more. There are other key factors that make up external attack surface. As I said, we can't talk about them all today, but just to mention a couple. So website security, vulnerable code bases, actually data available on the dark web. Given the amount of large-scale breaches that seem to happen on a daily, weekly basis, now, actually, I would assume that a good portion of your data, unfortunately, is on the dark web. Again, same data set, 25 organizations in the last month. Bit better, but potentially more impactful. 11 of those organizations have exposed services to the internet of varying scales. Not many of them had RDP, thankfully, but still, some out there. Now, we've been through a couple of factors there, but I think it would be really useful to demonstrate how we used in the real world external attack surface scanning and monitoring to aid a customer that was mid-cyber attack, who needed some help, who gave us a call. And during that initial call, we were able to complete a very quick external attack surface scan, and based on the results, we were able to really quickly make a good guess on the attack methods used, i.e., if we were the attacker, where would we start? So, what did the attacker do? So the attacker, just like us, using open source intelligence tools, evaluated the organization and discovered, actually, as per the first point, they had really poor email security. So, loose SPF and no DKIM, no DMARC, and therefore the attacker utilized that knowledge to send a targeted phishing attack. It's important to note actually that based on this organization, we do believe this was a targeted attack, so this was probably a traditional spear phishing rather than a wide net approach. Unfortunately, in this instance, the user on the end of this attack failed their security awareness training and submitted credentials. And the attacker moves on to the next phase. And that was waiting, actually evaluating that employee's activity, waiting for the most impactful time to strike. And when they found that, what they did is move on to the next attack, which was connecting to the client's client VPN, the organization's client VPN, using the credentials captured in that first stage. Unfortunately, in this example, just as we discovered during that initial scan, that organization had their firewall exposed to the internet. So not only did they know exactly what firewall they were using, they actually had the VPN client download page published to the internet as well. So using all of those methods, obviously once they were in, they carried out everyone's worst fear: encryption of files, ransomware attack, organization crippled. So actually this organization was probably closer to that first office I showed you, the messy one. There was definitely some internal processes that could have been better. But the principle still stands actually. With some external attack surface scanning, we were really easily able to, in a matter of minutes, determine an actual attack chain, which was later proven by the cyber insurance vendor. So actually, hopefully, if they were doing some external attack surface management, one, they would have understood some of the risks, and hopefully would have done something about those risks, and been less likely to suffer such an attack. So we've been through a couple of attack factors. We've been through an example. So hopefully some of the benefits of external attack surface management are clear, but just to cover off a couple of specifics. Actually identifying your digital assets. If you don't know what they are, what's exposed, it's really difficult to do anything about. And actually, a lot of organizations we engage with following a scan say, oh, crap, we haven't used that system for a long period of time. That was retired a long time ago. Never been decommissioned, exposed vulnerabilities still. And importantly, this isn't a point-in-time thing. Actually, this is something that needs to be managed on an ongoing basis. It's important that you know when your attack surface changes, hopefully for the good, so you can report that risk level dropping. But also, most importantly, when something changes for the worse, so when something new is exposed, who's alerted to it, who's going to do something about it. And now you know and can identify what's exposed, actually evaluating your weaknesses, proactively managing your risk and your risk levels, and taking action. Hopefully you've taken action. Actually, the inside of your house is clean, and now your outside of the house is clean. External attack surface management is really effective and can be extended to now moving on to probably your next biggest risk, your supply chain. It's a really nice tool to be able to monitor your supply chain risk, hopefully start applying the same standards that you hold yourself to your suppliers, or at least get an understanding of the risk when working with your suppliers. And actually, be a less desirable target. So, there's a few ways you can manage your external attack surface. There's plenty of free open source intelligence tools out there for you to use. There's many of you that have probably got tools within your current licensing stack. But actually we've chosen at Optimizing IT, and so have many others, to use a purpose-built external attack surface management tool named FractalScan. Actually, they're here today. And they're across the lobby from us. We chose them for a couple of reasons. Best-in-class enumeration. Actually, we've discovered that during the process of evaluating tools, it found a lot more data than anyone else. And that's really important. Really good, knowledgeable team, obviously. And really easy and intuitive UI, and I think that's potentially understated. One, it's really important that techs and engineers can work in the platform and actually take action. But I think more importantly, if that data is not easily digestible, when you need to report those risks and vulnerabilities to board, to management teams, what's the point? And there's a few other reasons there. So one of the things that we spoke about during this is actually making yourself a less desirable target, making your house a less desirable target. Now, not everyone will be able to install the home security system Nimbus 3000 2.0 XProtect, but actually, with a bit of management, a bit of scanning, actually can reduce your impact. And on that note, I think we're getting close to time, so I'll leave you with the final quote. You don't have to run faster than the bear to get away, you just have to run faster than the guy next to you. Make yourself look less appealing. Thank you very much.